in Europe, in Great Britain, they warn parents every school year before school begins, don't let your kids use cell phones under a certain age because they're still developing, and the effects of these are pretty profound. And the difference is they use what's called the precautionary principle in Europe on environmental and health issues, where they start to tell the public about the time the insurance companies start to get concerned, the public gets to get the information. So we get to make the same kind of decision some insurance company gets to make, which is, do we want to take the risk or not, even though all the science might not be in. And in over 40 years that they've applied this principle throughout Europe, they have never once been wrong.
Well, I mean, to magnify that, that's just like the FDA doesn't want us to know if we have a genetically engineered cross-species salmon.
Right.
I mean, in America, we have to fight to even know if we're eating a clone.
Well, and here in Alaska, we don't allow farmed salmon because we actually have a good product. It's created naturally. We're the 12th largest fishery in the world. That's ranking us against every country in the world, Alaska alone. We produce 90% of all of the fresh caught salmon that people consume in the United States, and most people don't know it. And there is a difference. When you start to genetically modify, and this gets back in to the topic of the day, you can deliberately manipulate salmon species so they grow 30 times faster by, messing around with the DNA. But you can also alter salmon species in a couple of other ways. You can alter their migration patterns because they orient by magnetic field lines, and our technologies are now interfering, causing disruptions in those migrations. And secondly, you can alter, using, again, electromagnetic fields, you can manipulate what happens within DNA structures. So you can alter species, either accidentally as a side effect or a deliberate effect. And this is, again, where the problem comes in. Those same microwaves that transfer all of our communications, a slight change, just a slight change in the wavelength might eliminate the biological interactions. In other words, they're so precise, they're like dialing through the radio station. They only count when you get harmony, resonance between the transmitter and receiver, and you get a nice clear signal like people dialing to the dial and hearing us today. The same is true with the Earth and all of the living things on the Earth, including us. But in between the stations, it's just static. No harm, no foul. That's what we need to learn to express. And so much of the work in this area has been classified for weapons application, yet the understanding of sort of what areas and what energy ranges do you avoid, we used to think it was just high-energy, heat-producing kind of energy, but it's not. The subtle energies also have huge effects, and we can segregate that through knowledge and then run our technologies in a much safer, conducive way. In fact, there are certain energy fields that actually increase our potential health-wise rather than depress it. And so we need to be more mindful of what we're doing and be more deliberate in it so that we don't interfere with people and living creatures, and that we're good stewards on this planet in a balanced and appropriate way.
In your gut, Dr. Nick Begich, do you believe humanity is going to make it to a Type 1 civilization? For those that don't know, that means a civilization viable, not just bound to this planet. I mean, will humanity survive? Because the attitudes and the behaviors of the globalists they seem to in a social Darwinistic way, just embrace anything, no matter how horrible, and they make a lot of self-destructive, nihilistic statements, and they claim there's this big method to their madness, and they're good at screwing stuff up and stealing and robbing, right. But I don't have a lot of confidence unless free humanity forces a renaissance of real debate and then takes control of our global civilization and forces a real debate about this. I don't have a lot of hope for us, and I unfortunately, don't even know if I'll be able to live to see grandchildren if we don't turn this around. What's your gut tell you?
Well, I am obviously concerned, or I wouldn't be engaged in the work. And I joke with people, I call myself a pathological optimist, because I still think there's a way for humanity through this. I just really believe that, and I believe it on a fundamental basis. I think that human beings, and this is my personal belief, you can debate it or not, but I believe that human beings are created in the image of a creator, and that means a lot more than some physical form walking around eating Cheerios. We are very potent as human beings, each and every one of us. There is no insignificant human on this planet. I don't care what you think, where you think you sit at the moment. You have the ability, we each have the ability to step forward into what we are and what we've been created to be, which is a much different way of living than the way we're living now, as really slaves in so many respects, under so many different systems that control every aspect of our lives.
Beautifully said. The globalists have created really like a false, almost zoo-like humanarium type system where we're in a fake habitat, a false habitat, and they're slowly changing the habitat and more towards a dehumanizing control grid. And I agree, the dynamic, limitless creativity of the human spirit, and I want us to have that destiny. I'm saying if we don't, those of us that can see it intellectually and feel it in our gut and know it, if we don't act on our survival instincts and then intellectually and scientifically face this and blow the horn, warning people, I think the globalists are going to destroy all of us.
I think you're right on that, and I think it is up to us. And, you know, when you talk about mind control issues, and I've researched them now for many, many years, and, you know, the biggest thing that the military discovered in all of this wasn't, you know, the kinds of things people usually default to out of fear. It's about the Manchurian kind of candidate, or about manipulating me or each of us to do certain things, you know, that kind of feeling of imposition and the fear that goes with it. And here is the reality of fear and worry and anxiety. Is if you look at an EEG, brain activity of people experiencing those emotions, the kind of brain activity you see is not associated with intellectual processing of any great degree. It's not associated with the kind of thinking and higher-ordered capability that humans often demonstrate. Those brain waves are only demonstrated when you're experiencing the emotions of compassion, empathy, love.
Yes.
And those emotions are associated with higher-ordered thinking. And that higher-ordered thinking happens to be associated, and this is what military research and mind control showed, with what are called anomalous human capabilities, or what used to be called a few thousand years ago, gifts of the spirit in some quarters, other things in other quarters. How we use our gifts and what those are intended to do will change the face of this planet. And I believe that, absolutely believe it.
I totally agree, Dr. Begich, and I want you to elaborate on this. That's why the social engineers who are greedy and wicked, who know these secrets and consciously decide to dumb us down so that we're not in the equation of having any input on the type of civilization we build. That's why everything they do is to create a false, almost matrix of disinformation and media control to suppress us within small boxes. And for me, at a gut level, that is the ultimate crime against the species, the ultimate crime against who we are. And I just burn with a desire to defeat these people.
Well, and I think that is possible. It doesn't take millions and millions of people to make change in the world. It takes one or two to see it slightly differently and and I won't say sound the alarm like you're in a panic, but to awaken the rest of our brothers and sisters on this planet to our possibilities. And I think that's where so much of what we've seen is about tearing things down rather than building them up. And we have an opportunity to build one another up. This planet can, I say this loudly, it can support the billions of people that live here. No one arrived by accident, and anyone who believes that, I think, has missed the deeper meaning of this experience. And we have an opportunity. This generation is the generation that will decide whether or not we have a world that frees us to our higher possibilities and potentials, or continues to suppress us in really what is a scripted program. I mean, you're not watching the programs. We are the programs, and we can either change it by recognizing what we are and move forward. And I think that's really the challenge, and it's each of us overcoming our own anxieties and fears and worries and starting to step in with confidence, knowing, A, that we're not alone. There are, in fact, millions of people doing the same thing. And we don't have to wait for some formal organization to form. We're already standing in it. It was created long ago. It's the human race. And we need to rise to the potential that was given us as our birthright and claim it back and change the world around us. I mean, it's so easy, I know, to get lost in the fear and worry of the times we're facing economically, socially, technologically. But, you know, we are at a crossroads, and everyone feels it and everyone knows it. And again, I want to emphasize there are no insignificant events. People need to step into what they believe to be right and true, begin acting responsibly, not with fear and worry, but with confidence, knowing that each step we take is a step in a different and a right direction. Wow,
Dr. Begich, so beautifully said, extremely profound. I think that's some of the most powerful things you've ever said on this broadcast, of many powerful broadcasts. I want to talk more about this awakening, and you can feel it, I can feel it, we can see it. The awakening is on, and the global controllers are throwing everything they can at us right now to try to suppress that awakening. Why are they so afraid of it? We'll ask the doctor on the other side.
Pure water. What could be better than the gift of health for your loved ones? And who better to help you give the gift this holiday season than BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com? If those on your gift list are drinking or bathing in unfiltered city or well water, chances are that water is contaminated with rust, bacteria, chlorine, and fluoride. For just pennies a day, Berkey Water Filters remove dangerous contaminants from both well and city water, is powerful enough to purify stagnant pond water, and is great for camping and emergencies. Right now, GCN listeners get 5% off all ceramic filter systems and free shipping on orders over $50. Purchase any filter system from BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com to get your choice of Berkey Sport bottles, a KDF shower filter, a set of fluoride filters, or the